What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Elden Ring boss tier list. We're going through 22 bosses today, and that's before the DLC. Let's go through each of the ranks so you understand what I'm talking about. S tier, best of the best fights. They're my favorites. I'm very stingy with them and will only give out a few. A tier, I'm always looking forward to it. Lots of fun. B, overall fun. C, forgettable or kind of average. D, I don't have a good time. F, the game would be better off without him. And by no means a pro at these games, my biggest accomplishment is beating Ishii in the Sword Saiyan. The subscriber with the best comment will receive one of the cool Elden Ring coins I casted. Let's break right into it, boys!
Marget the Fell Omen, Elden Ring's first proper boss, and gatekeeper to the rest of the game. This boss is surprisingly technical for so early in the game, utilizing advanced late-game techniques like combo extenders, rule catches, and delayed attacks. Marget is likely the point in the game where players decide if they want to actually play Elden Ring or jump on a bicycle with the seat missing. Either way, it's gonna hurt. Nothing up to this point in the game will prepare you for this fight, even a little bit. Your best bet is to explore everything else you can find first so you can take more than 3 hits and start slapping that meat around with your boy, or learning to parry like me. It's a great tool against those endless combo extender bosses. Marget is much better suited as a late game boss, Morgot, and after contending with such an advanced moveset, the next few bosses will feel too easy. Due to his placement in the game, I can't give Marget higher than a C ranking, but his moveset is too engaging to put him lower. Somebody get this man some milk! Godric screams grandiosity, and this battle is quite the thing to behold. With his countless arms, he wields multiple weapons, leaping around the arena with a clunky grace, and crashing down with tremendous force. Am I the only one who wonders why he didn't graft more feet? This fight is all fun and spectacle, so it should be a perfect S tier, right? Wrong! Coming off the battle with Marget, our boy Goro is just too easy. Dealing with all the late game mechanics of Marget leads you to completely steamroll Godric's flashy simplicity. I, however, still love this fight for its grandeur and plain fun gameplay. I will give it an A, even if Margaret and Godric should have switched places.
I am the Lord of all that is.
Bruh.
Renala, Queen of the Full Moon. We got 2 health bars here, people. Now it's getting serious. The first phase is there to eat up time and challenge your sense of morality. Run around, beat up Make-A-Wish kids, and smack their mom around in front of them. Nothing out of the ordinary. The second phase is where the fight becomes a spectacle. The arena is fantastic, with the full moon as the backdrop, and the fight is chasing down a nimble mage and dodging dragons while trying to get them toes. She has no poise, and you can stay on her, and you can stunlock lots of the challenge out of existence. Just switch your weapons away from magic damage. I always end this fight with lots of heals left, a sense of frustration, and a swollen prostate. Both phases of this fight can just end up feeling not fun. As cool as it may look, I will give this battle a D. I don't dread it, but I don't really enjoy it. But it's cool to look at.
General Radahn is cursed ever to wander.
Wow. Star Scourge Radahn. If you know, you know. The first time experiencing Radahn's second phase is an experience that will stick with you forever. This fight is wild, and I'm talking Waffle House Brawl kind of wild. His moveset is so unique compared to anything else in this game that at first, those long, drawn-out strafing strikes and quick swirling combos will be baffling. But once you figure it out and lock it in with this boss, it creates a peak meat experience. A tremendous, terrible back and forward with the man capable of arresting the stars. The soundtrack to this battle has the same effect the Doom OST does in straightening the hairs of your taint and truly enhancing the experience even farther. This one is the highest of high S tier. I ain't no Ronnie simp, boys, but I'll always go out of my way to make sure I get to do this boss fight. The Falling Star Beasts. I'm gonna lump all these chonky boys together and say they are a fun version of the Blazing Bowl of Sekiro, but with severe rock-flinging protein farts. It's a recipe for disaster, yet somehow always ends up being fun. Just like someone making eye contact at a urinal, you aren't really sure what to do for most of it, but you know you have to hold on, and you never give up. Even though I have fought these guys many times, I still find them super confusing. They are a wild force of nature, and it shows through with the varied pincer swipes, tail whip, crippling gravity magic. Let's give them a B, folks, for old time's sake. Reichard, Lord of Blasphemy, and the God-devouring serpent. I'm gonna level with you, chuds. This Vin Diesel-looking sword swallower is the ride together, die together sort. And let me tell you folks, when you sign up for this fight, you are in for a ride. This battle gives you the Gutsy Boy Greatsword to take on this titanic foe, with its own moveset and dazzling special effects. The second phase Rancor Storm creates the singular best instance of survivable chaos I have ever experienced in a video game. The Rancor Storm ends with a jaw-dropping display of special effects as Reichard summons power from a fiery vortex overhead and crashes his sword down with devastating power. This isn't the hardest boss fight, but one of the most marvelous fights in FromSoft history. A gimmick fight done right. Easy S tier, boys.
I got family.
The Draconic Tree Sentinel. While all the other Tree Sentinel bosses can feel a lot like wiping more than once with the same piece of toilet paper, the Draconic variant is the real deal. This fight starts off feeling similar to the other Tree Sentinel style battles, but with a snappy fireball punish when attempting to heal or cast magic at improper times. He teaches you that lesson fast. Second phase is when this fight shows its true colors. Drawing on the power of Draconic Red Lightning, his threat level and moveset increases tremendously. What was once a simple ground smash now becomes a thunderous bomb. This horseback Sigma male is the perfect gatekeeper for his mid-game position, and you will need to defeat him to make it into Lane Dell without the wiki. The Draconic Tree Sentinel always feels perfectly tuned for when I reach him. B tier, folks. I always walk away from this feeling good, and it's one of my favorite non-remembrance bosses.
Godfree, first Elden Lord. Taking on Godfree's astral projection is a lot like slipping your best friend a Mickey before challenging them to a boxing match. You're probably gonna win, and it doesn't make you a bad person. A part of me actually appreciates this fight, because it gives you a quick reminder of what Marget taught you long ago. Life is pain, but life is also about learning how to deal with extremely long combos. Relearning this lesson right before encountering Marget's dating profile, Morgot, is actually very wise. Watching Godfree struggle to kill you from miles away is actually kinda cool. But, truthfully, this fight is really bland aesthetically and mechanically. I can comfortably give him a C. I don't actively dislike this fight, it's just nothing special. Oh yeah! Morgot the Omen King. On a serious note, does anyone know how the Dark Souls 1 player damage sound never made a comeback? Morgot is the Marget fight done right. His moveset is suffocating and extremely mobile. His drip, immaculate. Literally, my only complaint is it feels like he never has enough health, which I suppose is a compliment, but completely inappropriate to say around anyone at a children's hospital. Second phase, Morgot's gluten allergy begins to flare up, and like the cooks at your local Red Lobster, sanitation goes out the window. With the gloves off, you will now be faced with his brother's Bloodfire, but thankfully, not his taste and partner. This Guardian of the Erd Tree is such a fast and furious fight. I will give him one of my few S-tier placements. The Mimic tier. You all knew it was gonna have to happen. In order to access the Forgotten City of Nokron and devolve into Ronnie's Symptom, you will need to face the greatest challenge of all, yourself. Your sick, broken build you post about on Reddit will become your worst nightmare. Conceptually, I love this fight, but in execution, it always feels like an average Bethesda NPC fight. C tier, boys. Have fun simping for some doll gooners. I'll be following the vast wisdom of the ever-brilliant Goldmask. The Super Valiant Gargoyle Bros. Ever feel like a video game is just trying to spit in your mouth? The Valiant Gargoyle Duo is difficult to suss out at first, but if you apply everything you learned in the duo bosses of games prior, you will prevail. This is historically one of the most hated boss fights in Elden Ring, but I'm gonna be honest for the first time in this tier list and say, I actually like it. Post your own rating of this boss in the comments on a scale of 1 to OK. The key of this fight is to make your greatest priority keeping both bosses on screen at once. Can't see both? Reposition. One will hang back and send deadly poison your way, while the other hits you with the usual Gargoyle Fury. For this playthrough, I actually beat it first try, and I am by no means an MLG pro, but I tend to actually like the FromSoft multi-fights. Ruined Sentinels of DS2 and Abyss Watchers of DS3 actually being some of my favorites. I am dropping a big old B here, folks. Not amazing, but I always walk away enjoying the challenge of managing both gargoyles.
Fia's Champions. What some people will do for a hug. The world of Elden Ring is full of sweaty simps. Ronnie has hers, and Fia is no different. Anytime you spot the mutated remains of Godwin around the map, it's striking. Here, Godwin the Gooner watches over the battlefield with his signature Riz.
Treat me like white teeth.
The fight itself is an NPC gauntlet. It's about as exciting as pooping in a public restroom. It's something you gotta do, if you have to do it. But really, it just would be better not to. The fight ends with a trio of fedora-wearing Tarnished, all trying to impress their lady by spamming the most annoying magic attacks. This fight is frustrating to say the least. Really not fun, and the game would be better off without it. F tier. I tend to like multi-target boss fights, but this one is never fun. Lich Dragon Fortis. Alright folks, I need to level with you. I am no fan of FromSoft dragon fights, but I am a fan of dragon
These nuts. Ha! Got it!
Fortis compounds many things I dislike about dragon fights, and adds a few elements to increase the stank factor. First, there is something infuriating about whiffing attacks against such a large target. Second, I don't get any cool dragon shouts. The threat of Deathblight or similar mechanics never helps. I am a sucker for Red Lightning and the OST though, so I have to give it a mercy point for that. D feels fair. There is a dragon fight later I actually think is one of FromSoft's best. Stay tuned because now we are on the path to the endgame. Asel, natural born of the void. This Bloodborne looking monstrosity is the reason I don't go looking for dolls in caves anymore. Asel is pretty much the most alien thing you can imagine. But to me, it feels just like fighting a FromSoft dragon. Tiny hitboxes and all. Did I mention there are very few FromSoft dragons I actually like? Asel has some flashy moves, but I always just feel like I'm chasing him around and not having fun. After experiencing the life-enriching joy of the Lake of Rot, I suppose I should have expected the Red Lobster all-you-can-eat buffet to follow. He has a unique design, but honestly, I usually just skip this fight if not making a sick tier list. D tier. The Fire Giant. As the last stop before setting your best friend on fire, it is a bittersweet moment. I suppose eliminating the last of a species is a little bit tragic too. But we are getting ahead of ourselves, people. The Fire Giant is the tallest foe you will face in Elden Ring. And let me tell you, if you are hoping to get a look at more than just his bunions, you better turn that horse around and leave the old folks home now. The first phase requires you to stay on this towering mouth breather and attack his weakened ankle until he decides to do the only rational thing in the situation. Break that chicken wing off and eat it. Sacrifice it to the being the giants worship. It's second phase, and he is down a leg, but up an entire fire-breathing cyclopean face engraved in his body. That volcanic eruption this phase begins with is legendary. A lot of people really dislike this fight, but I find if you approach it differently than all the other fights and try to stay horseback as long as possible, it is actually pretty enjoyable. B tier, folks. The Godskin Duo. Most people's least favorite boss in the game. It's okay, folks. I will accept your shame for using a summon on this one. After trying 5 or 6 times to solo it this run, I decided it just wasn't worth it. My poor Misericord and Meteoric Oreblade were working overtime, and not in a good way. These two have input reading cranked up to the max, and my blood sugar levels dropping dangerously low. I just want to experience the magic of crumbling Farum Azula and the epic endgame bosses to follow. Plus, get this boss tier ranking video finished before the DLC comes out. It's an F, folks. An unnecessary fleshy roadblock. Dragon Lord Placidusax. This epic confrontation is a lot like anime. I want to make myself like it, but I just can't. Placidusax is one of the most dazzling fights in the game, with red lightning, white-hot fire breath lasers, and nuclear weapons. You have to respect everything this boss does, from its wing slams to sitting down after standing up. Getting caught with one thing can lead to an untimely death, and with its run back, though nothing compared to prior games, it can be a real pain. Somehow, I still find myself whiffing attacks against this big, lovable ball of a dragon, and the hitboxes have me scratching my head
as I see the "You died" screen for the 15th time. I tell ya, it's the Dragon's Curse, people. D for Dragon. Malekith, the Black Blade. A life and death struggle personified. No battle in any game feels quite like this one. This fight is lightning fast, and will be over quick whether you win or lose. The Beast Clergyman phase is a little annoying, as this Jim Baker looking pup evangelizes with a little rock therapy. But once second phase begins, and Malekith draws the Blade of Death, it's gonna go quick. Out of nowhere, he floats, somersaulting through the air, and doing a variety of attacks that will throw you for a loop and lead to your death until you can learn it. My only beef with this remarkable fight is how quickly it is over, either for you or for him. For how complex his moveset is, he is too deadly to give you any time to learn anything. But over time and many deaths, you will figure it out. And when you do, you will feel like a badass for about 30 seconds. Just like real life. It's a great fight, but is short by necessity. If damage was tuned down for both Malekith and the player, I feel like it would be an easy S tier, but A feels appropriate. Mog, Lord of Blood. No manchild stands between me and my DLC. This fight has you barging into Mogwin Palace like Chris Hansen.
Could you explain yourself?
Just to the mimics here, your boy was going through it. Mog is visually great, with giant sweeping trident swipes and lightning fast thrust you cannot Makiri counter. The second phase rains of blood fire with each attack, and gives him the power of flight. I don't know why, but this boss consistently gives me tons of trouble. I know he is many people's favorite, but I can't give him more than a B. I just can't do it.
I can't do it.
Godfree and Horaloo! Warrior! My opinion of the first Elden Lord has recently changed during my last playthrough. Godfree comes in out of nowhere to cash in the money in the bank briefcase and usurp the throne from the Tarnished who did all the work. Horaloo is a heel through and through. The pacing of this fight is superb and probably my favorite thing about it. First phase, he has long yet intuitive combos, bookended with titanic stomps, shockwaving the whole arena. Second phase, he betrays his furry companion and abandons his weapon. People compare him to a pro wrestler at this stage, but honestly to me, he comes off as more bestial. He is relentless, with multiple grab attacks and constant forward momentum, yet still maintaining his intuitive flow and rhythm. If he feels he can't catch you, he will just reach his hand into the ground and tear open the floor, revealing one of the coolest attacks in the game. We have a certified S tier here, folks. This guy is crazy fun. Radagon and the Elden Beast, a beloved kids novel come to life. Because these two bosses are combined into one, I will have to balance their two scores to make one tier rank. Radagon is the sort of guy who eats asparagus the long way. He starts the fight off with a bang, using the coolest cinematic entrance in FromSoft history. Battling this Terminator-like being to the Elden Ring theme song is enthralling. He actually reminds me of Lothric from DS3, with the deadly teleportation moves and dazzling shockwave attacks. Radagon, if by himself, would be a high A tier. But he ain't by himself, is he? Radagon falls after a great fight and is replaced by the space amoeba dinosaur Elden Beast. Echoing a common sentiment shared by the FromSoft community, his fight would be so much better with Torrent. Elden Beast would be a C for me. I actually like him more than the dragons. Combine the scores and this boss settles in a B. Keep it together, people, because we have one more for the base game. Millenia, Blade of Nicola. In this episode of Waifu Hunters, we're gonna talk everyone's favorite rot goddess. I got news for ya, she has known defeat. Our boy Radon did it long ago, but Millenia decided to unplug the console when the writing was on the wall. Many FromSoft veterans hail this sore loser as a masterpiece, but I'm gonna give her some of the similar treatment I gave Mog. Millenia's moveset is actually fairly easy to handle, and all but 2 moves can be countered by just running away. The biggest part of the challenge comes from just how overtuned she is. Very high damage, ridiculous hyper armor, health regen, 3 parries for a stagger. She has it all, but to me, it makes her difficulty feel a bit artificial. Perfection is required. This is a tedious fight people are likely to spend days trying to figure out. I am not going to give it an S tier like many do. The best I can do is give it a B. Beating Millenia twice is enough for me, and I have no desire to do it again.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in today. Hope you all enjoyed the video. Let me know where you think I'm crazy in the comments, and post your own tier list as well. Thank you so much, like and subscribe, because we're gonna hit the DLC next. See you next time.